CTV News with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. 3 Lethbridge residents charged in connection to an alleged Ponzi scheme will be represented by the same lawyer. In July, RCMP arrested 63-year-old Marissa Campanelli Pittarelli, 42-year-old Anthony Pittarelli, and 36-year-old Claudia Pittarelli. The trio allegedly operated front row tickets and is accused of defrauding an investor out of more than $560,000. A few months ago, the Crown prosecutor raised a concern about a possible conflict of interest with all 3 being represented by the same lawyer. At a court appearance today, though, the Crown and judge both said they were satisfied there is no conflict. Calgary-based lawyer Balfour Durr will represent the Pittarellis' case when it returns to court on February 1st. A Lethbridge man charged with criminal negligence has now pleaded guilty to administering a noxious substance. 35-year-old Curtis Larco is charged in connection with the drug overdose death of 20-year-old Hunter Patterson. Police say that Patterson was taking drugs at a friend's house before he died and that he agreed to let another man give him a drug injection. Larco will be sentenced February 29th. And a Lethbridge man who pleaded guilty to manslaughter will be sentenced in the new year. Last month, police found the body of 47-year-old Christopher Ballandine in a North End home. Police say he had been beaten to death with a 2x4. 52-year-old Terry Bissonnette pleaded guilty last month. Court heard that Bissonnette didn't actually hit the victim, but he did agree to go with another man, Kerry Zeller, to scare the victim. Bissonnette will be back in court February 16th for sentencing in Ballandine's death. Zeller is charged with second-degree murder, and his case is still before the courts. A trial date has been set for a Coaldale man charged with sexual assault and sexual interference. Regional police say that they received complaints that a 26-year-old man had sexually assaulted 10 and 12-year-old girls. Police say in this case, the accused knew both the victims and their families. Barry Vincent White pleaded not guilty to the charges in September, and he's also facing similar charges in another case that's before the courts. A trial date will be set for both sets of charges on January 9th. Meanwhile, a trial date has been set for a Lethbridge man facing drug charges. In September, regional police stopped a car with 78.9 grams of cocaine inside. The cocaine had a street value of over $10,000. The discovery was made after a month-long drug investigation. Police charged 33-year-old Chadwick Benoit with possession for the purpose of trafficking. Benoit is scheduled to stand trial April 19th. And we have some good news for you about a missing 16-year-old girl we told you about last night. The teen has been located and is safe. Well, Dory Rosser, the good news is we've got some warm air heading into southern Alberta, but that also means a lot of wind.
Yeah, and we've already got the warm air sitting over southern Alberta. We actually got to 7 degrees today. We were expecting temperatures to hover around -1, but that influx of warm air came in a little early, but the wind is going to be following. Wait till tonight. I'll have more details coming up in a couple of minutes.
Thanks, Dory. Well, the first Aboriginal Canadian to seek the leadership of a major federal political party is in Lethbridge today, meeting with party supporters and the public. NDP MP Romeo Saganash was raised in a Cree community in central Quebec. He has been very active politically and in advocacy groups for almost 30 years. He was also one of the negotiators for the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People. Saganash, the first NDP leadership candidate to visit Lethbridge, says he wants to build one of the foundations established by Jack Layton, who died of cancer in August.
This work is important because I've always said, from the outset, I said the biggest winner in this race will be the party. By getting new members, solidifying the basis that we have now, not only in Quebec but throughout the country, and building on from where Jack left.
Saganash is one of 9 people running to replace Layton. NDP members will choose their new leader on March 24th. Well, a proposal to grow commercial poppy crops in southern Alberta is getting support from the County of Lethbridge. It's another step forward for API Labs. It's a private company that has been working on the project for more than 4 years. The company is hoping to start field studies as early as next spring. In the meantime, though, researchers at the University of Lethbridge are working to develop plants that offer high yields and are better suited for the southern Alberta climate. Terry Vogt explains.
At the University of Lethbridge, Dr. Igor Kovalchuk is doing extensive research on the Thebaine poppy, a variety of poppy that can be used in painkillers and other pharmaceuticals, but lacks the narcotic properties of opium poppies. A permit to do the research was granted earlier this year. Dr. Kowalchuk says the objective is to develop a plant that produces higher levels of thebaine and also grows well in southern Alberta.
So our research is driven to get maximum amount of thebaine out of poppy plant in our environment. That's critical because the plant will perform differently in different conditions, different environments.
Poppies traditionally grow in climates that have a dramatic shift in temperatures. The same warm, sunny days and cool nights that make southern Alberta a good place to grow corn and sugar beets.
The alkaloids as a thebaine are a defense mechanism that plants use to fight stress and to fight pathogens. And basically in South Alberta, since we have the shifts in temperature, it's ideal condition for a plant to produce higher level of thebaine, right?
The high sunlight hours we get in the area, the moisture, the dry climate all fits very well with poppy production.
Glenn Metzler is the driving force behind API Labs. He's been working on this project since 2007. Much of that time has been spent convincing regulators and police agencies that a thebaine poppy industry would be safe and profitable for Canada and southern Alberta in particular.
When the hemp industry was established in Canada, they went through the same process, and part of that process is awareness of the public to understand that, you know, hemp and marijuana are different, and a thebaine poppy and a morphine poppy are different as well. Any risks that are there will be exposed, and we'll deal with those accordingly.
Doing the research in the lab or in the greenhouse is an important step in the development of the thebaine poppy industry in Canada. But researchers say it's also extremely important to do field studies to see how the poppy plant responds to the natural environment. Right now, Health Canada is doing a risk threat assessment. If everything goes according to plan, the company hopes to have a license to begin field trials as early as this spring. Terry Vogt, CTV News, Lethbridge.
And a project that brought historic Blackfoot collections from the United Kingdom back to people in Canada and the United States has been recognized internationally. The 2011 Michael M. Arness Prize for Innovative Museum Anthropology has been awarded to the coordinators of the Blackfoot Shirts Project. 5 historic shirts from the Pitt Rivers Museum collection were shipped to the Galt Museum in Lethbridge and the Glenbow in Calgary. The shirts were nearly 200 years old and adorned with quill embroidery, hide fringe, and horse and human hair. They were collected in the 1800s by the governor of Hudson's Bay Company and sent to England. Returning the shirts to southern Alberta enabled Blackfoot elders to learn about skills and techniques used by their ancestors. And the elders also provided researchers with information that they weren't aware of. Meanwhile, the Galt Museum's Memory Box program is helping local seniors keep their minds sharp. Alicia Fieldberg met with a group during their walk down memory lane.
Look out, Vaughn.
These seniors are slingshot straight to their childhood when they see these old toys.
Well, it certainly brings back memories. Those are things that when I was a boy, I used a slingshot. And we used to shoot at the trees and things like that.
The Galt Museum collects touchable artifacts from past decades and loans out the memory boxes to several seniors groups. Providing a viewfinder to the past is important for maintaining mental health and memory. Reminiscing can also help people with Alzheimer's trigger emotions and calm anxiety. These seniors are bouncing with excitement as they recall childhood memories.
The yo-yo, we used to have competitions with those.
All the games. Yeah, we played a lot of games in Holland, especially at night, at the time when we were occupied by the Germans.
What tops it all with the memory boxes is the social aspect.
To get together like this and see all the old things that we used to have, it's just a wonderful memory.
If you become socially isolated, you can become depressed, you can become down, and that's why our socialization here is so important for some of the people that come.
The Galt Museum Memory Box program has been around for nearly 10 years, but the collection is aging and doesn't always reflect the life experiences of new generations of seniors. Museum staff are now asking for donations from the 1940s to 60s so they can update the collection. The Galt Museum also loans out memory boxes to schools so students can have hands-on experience learning about past decades when imagination and togetherness were often a bigger part of playtime.
We still have my husband's great big old jam can full of different kinds of marbles, and it's just, the memories, it's just absolutely unbelievable. And I think nowadays the kids are missing a lot.
Alicia Fieldberg, CTV News, Lethbridge.
The Galt Museum is asking for donations of small, touchable artifacts from past decades. And it's not just the toys. The museum also has theme boxes, including military school and weddings. Well, now you can look at your family's history while looking for a book to read. The Lethbridge Public Library now has a family database. You can use the library's computer or bring your own laptop from home to search extensive archives. Documents are kept under categories such as birth, marriage, death, and military. All you need are some names of relatives and you're ready to search. The library says that this program started out at a good time because the holidays brings families together.
My parents asked for some information about my grandfather coming to town through New York, and so I did a bit of research and found out which boat he came on, things like that. And this is the time of season where people are looking for that. They are looking for, you know, the kinds of history, the kinds of where their families came from.
The archives are accessed on the internet, but you can only do that through the library's connection.